This is a Freddie Loves crochet video for a basic traditional granny square, including when you don't colour change and when you colour change. It's a nice, simple, easy way to get started with crocheting granny squares. I'm going to use an aran or a medium weight number 4 yarn for my granny square, but the good thing about granny squares is that they're entirely up to you what you use. I'm using an aran with a 5 hook, which makes it quite a tighter stitch compared to using a bigger hook. If I were making a blanket with my granny squares, I'd probably go for a 5.5 or a 6. But I often like to use my granny squares for bags, which I want them to have a little bit more sturdiness to them. So I will use a 5. So I'm going to show you today how to do granny squares of all one colour and how to add in another colour as well. I also am going to start with a magic circle. I know I'll show you how to do it as I go. I know that magic circles aren't always that popular. They don't need to be used for a granny square. You can chain 4 and join to make a little circle that you work into, but that isn't my personal preference. I think granny squares are easier and I think they look better with a magic circle. So here we go. If you're right-handed, I'll just zoom out slightly so you get a better view of this. If you're right-handed, you want to have this tail end on the left side and this on the right side. So we're going to cross the long end around so it crosses here, and then you're going to get your hook and pull through there, and you can either leave your fingers there and grab your yarn or take your fingers out, and then you want to make your first chain. We want to make sure before we do anything else that we have 2 strands here on the left hand side of the circle and 1 on the right. We're going to be working over these left hand strands all the time, working over both of them. You don't just want to be putting your hook around one, you want to make sure there's always 2. So I've got 1 chain already to secure it on there. To start a granny square we need 3 chains. Then we're going to use double crochets in the US terms or treble crochets in the UK terms, and granny squares are made up generally of chains and double stroke trebles stitches, and they're in groups of 3. So that chain 3 classes as 1 stitch. We're going to add, because we want our little cluster of 3, we're going to add 2 double crochets working into that magic circle. So there's 1 and there's another. So can you see that we've got 1, 2, 3 stitches. Even though that one is made of chains, it classes as a stitch. So that's our first side of our first little square. Now we're going to make the corner. So to make corners we chain 2 and it helps us turn. Now we're going to make our next set of 3 doubles. I primarily use US terms, but I'll try to refer to UK ones occasionally as well. So there's 1, yarning over and we go in, yarn through, so hook through the circle, so into the circle, yarn over, pull it out of the circle, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So we've got 2, and then we're going to do 1 more, yarn over into the circle, pick up the yarn, pull it out of the circle, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So as you can see now, let's zoom in slightly, we've got 1, 2, 3, a chain of 2 which creates a corner, and then 1, 2, 3. So we've got a side of a square and we've got a top of a square. So we've got the other side and the bottom to do to get those 4 sides. Okay, I'll zoom out again. So we're going to do our next corner, which is a chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to put in 3 more double crochets into our circle. So yarn over, hook in the circle, yarn over and pull it out. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over through the front 2, yarn over through the second 2. There's 1, hook, pull it through, yarn over through the front 2, yarn over through the second 2, and I've got 1 more to do. Yarn over into the circle, yarn over, pull it out again. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, and notice I'm still working across 2 strands here. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over through 2, and I've got another set of 3. So you should be able to see now that I've got side, a corner, a side, a corner, a side. So I need another corner, another side, and then one final corner before we move on. So another corner next, chain 2 for your corner. Yarn over into that circle over the 2 strands again. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over through 2, so that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. So I've now got all 4 sides. I've got 4 clusters of 3, and I just need to do one final corner, which it doesn't look anything like it at the minute, but it's because we've used the magic circle. So now when we pull the tail end, if you've crocheted over both strands like you needed to, when you pull it, you've now got a little first square. So we've just got to join here to make that final corner. So if you have a look, you've got this in the original chain 3, so it was 1, 2, and that's the 3rd one. We want to go in to the 3rd chain of that original chain 3 and join with a slip stitch. So I always, instead of just going through 1 loop of that chain, I always like to go through 2 because I think it makes it a neater, more secure join. Yarn over, pull it through both loops on your hook, and you've joined. So you've got a nice starting square. You can pull the centre a bit tighter as well if you want to. Now, to start our next round, we need to start from this corner, and we're currently over here. So to avoid having to cut the yarn and rejoin, which is what you do when you change colour, you need to slip stitch along the top of the next 2 double. So in the top of them, where you would normally work into the stitch, we're going to slip stitch into there and also into that corner space, and then we're going to start round 2 from there. So I'm going to find the next stitch, which is there. So I'm going to slip stitch, so yarn over, pull it through that and then through that, and it's just a way of moving your starting position, and it's completely invisible. So then I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 2 corner space, and now we're ready to start the second round. Once again, like we did with the first one, we start with 3 chains. So that's our first of the 3 clusters. So 1 and 2 and then 3. So we've got our first cluster. Now, because we're in a corner, these are all our 4 corner spaces. Whenever you're in a corner, you need to make another corner. So before we can move on to here, we've got to finish making our corner here. So if you remember to make a corner, you chain 2, yarn over into the very same corner space, and you want to now do another 3 double crochets. Hopefully you've picked up that stitch by now. Don't forget, a double crochet is the equivalent of a treble crochet in the UK. So you'll see in that one space we've got 3 and then a chain 2, so that gives us a little gap there for our corner, and then another 3. So if you have a look, if we put that down, you can see a square forming. So we're going to do the same in each one of these corner spaces, exactly what we've done there. The only difference is we don't need a chain 3 to start in the rest of them, only in the very first one. So we'll move that on. So 3 double crochets in the next corner. You don't need to do anything from going from this corner to that one. You just go straight into it. You don't need to move your position. You don't do anything like that. You just skip straight to the next corner space. I've done my 3 doubles. I've done my chain 2, and now I'm going to do another 3 doubles in that space. There we go. So we've now got 2 corners of the next round of our square done. We're going to go straight into this next one now, just like we did before, and do another 3 doubles, a chain 2 and 3 doubles all in here. Just finishing these off now. So you're nearly there. We've got 3 of the 4 corners done. So in that very last one there, exactly the same. Okay, so we've got 4 corners, another side of the square done. So you can now see we've got our corner spaces here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just need to join that up here to save that, leaving a gap there. So we're going to do the same as what we did for the first round. You identify your chain 3 and you find the 3rd chain of that chain 3. Go in, try and pick up 2 loops as you go in and do a slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through. So there we have it. So like I said, we've got 4 corner spaces, 1, 2, 3 and 4, but we've also got some spaces now in the sides of the square. So in these spaces we're just going to place 3 double crochets. In the corners we have to make another corner, so each corner needs to be 3 doubles, 2 chains and 3 doubles, and in each side space there needs to just be a cluster of 3 doubles. Now we have to move our starting position again to the next corner. You cannot start from here. You always start your granny from a corner. So we need to move it here, and if you remember from the previous round, when you're not changing colour and fastening off, you need to slip stitch under the next 2, the top of the stitch, so basically where you'd put your hook in for a regular crochet, under those loops there, and slip stitch, and then also slip stitch in the corner. So now we're ready to start round 3. So we start with a chain of 3, 2 doubles to make that a cluster of 3, and then chain 2 for the corner, because we're in a corner space, so we need to make another corner space. 1, 2 and 3. So we've got our first corner of round 3. Now I said before, if you can remember, in this side space we now need to put 3 doubles. We don't need to do anything between where we are and here, we just go straight into that. So 3 doubles, UK trebles, into that side space there, as you can see. And then we're going to do another, we're in a corner now, so we're going to do another corner. 2 and 3, chain 2, 1, 2 and 3. I need to get myself some more yarn. Okay, and then we've got another side space, so in there we're going to put 3 doubles. 1, 2 and 3. Once you get your head around it, it's really simple. If your hole with the magic circle starts to reopen again, just give it a little tug, pull it. I like it when it's nice and closed over there. So as you can see, I've got corner, side space with 3, I've got a corner with 3 and a chain 2 and a 3, a side space with 3. So you would just carry on going round doing that. And I'm going to show you in a moment how to do a colour change on here as well. So bear with me one moment. So we're back. I've finished off that round and we're back to here where we need to join. So we're going to join like we've done with the other ones, doing a slip stitch here, but we don't need to slip stitch under here and into that corner if we're changing colour. We can fasten off at this point. And yarn over. Oh, there we go, fasten that off. Give it a little. And then when you introduce your new colour, you can just, instead of having to move your position, you can just go straight to the corner. You don't need to move. You can go from any corner as well. It doesn't have to be the last one that you did. So to get started, put a slip knot onto your hook. And if you're not sure how to do a slip knot or the double crochet stitch, please check my other videos because I've got tutorials on those as well. Hook into that corner space. So ignoring the bits where you slip stitch before, straight into the corner space, and just do a little chain, sort of a slip stitch to join. So yarn over, pull through that and through that. So we've joined, and then we start just what you would normally do if you'd stayed in the same colour. Chain 3. Oops, lost it. And then 2 double crochets for your first cluster of 3. Then you do your corner because we're in a corner. Chain 2 and then another 3 doubles. As this square gets bigger, obviously you can do them as big or as little as you want. As it gets bigger, you'll see that more side spaces appear. An extra one appears on each side for each round. So this time you're going to go straight into that side space, the next one along, and do your 3 doubles. And then you're going to go into that the next one. So there's an extra one this time compared to the others, as you can see there. And then we're back at a corner space. So in there you're going to do a 3 doubles, a chain 2 and 3 doubles. And this is basically a basic simple granny square. It's how they grow. You just want to think of everything in 3s. You chain 3 for your first stitch. You need clusters of 3. You can, if you want to, if you wanted a sharper corner, you can put chain 3 for the corners as well. My preference personally is a chain 2. If you want to do a chain 3, you can do that as well. They're very customizable granny squares once you've got the basics of it. So you would finish that back off round there and join as you normally would there. And there it is, a finished granny square. Like I say, they can be any size you want. You can continue to grow them. I have a tutorial for a granny square bag, which I will link in the description, which is a brilliant way of putting your granny squares to good use and getting some practice with them. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, and you can also visit my website and see the written pattern on there as well. Thanks very much. Bye bye now.